As inflation hovers still at a 40-year high, the Secretary of the Treasury, Janet Yellen, did an interview with 60 Minutes. This is my reaction video. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching Yankee Stacking. So Janet Yellen, the former chair of the Federal Reserve and the current Treasury Secretary, sat down with, I think her name was Norah O'Donnell, of 60 Minutes to discuss the current state of our economy, inflation, recession. She was no doubt, in my mind, performing emergency propaganda work at the behest of the presidential administration and the Fed. So listen in and I'll respond as I see fit.
What is 2023 going to look like for the average consumer?
So I believe inflation will be lower. I am very hopeful that the labor market will remain quite healthy so that people can feel good about their finances and their personal economic situation.
So that people can feel good about their finances and their personal economic situation. And it's the wealth effect. The feeling you get when you open your 401k statement or look at your stocks, everything looks up. You know, the value of your house is going up and you're all excited. That's important because we are desperately reliant on consumer sentiment and consumption. It's not about productivity in the United States anymore. That's swirling around the toilet bowl right now. And it didn't take very long for her to go right to the labor market, did it? That wonderful lagging indicator of a recession that Janet and Jerome Powell and all the other brain trusts like to hang everything on. Oh, but look at the labor market. Okay, here's some facts for you, Janet. The recent household labor survey shows that job growth actually has been stagnant. Okay, in fact, in March of this year, there were 158.458 million employed workers in the United States. Last month, November, there were 158.470 million employed workers. That's an increase in employed workers of only 12,000 over an 8-month period. That's stagnation. A lot of the new jobs are actually people getting second or even third jobs trying to stay ahead of rapidly rising prices. The number of people working 2 jobs rose by 291,000 workers since March. So we're losing full-time workers with benefits, by the way, and then these people are just going out and getting part-time jobs. You call that job growth? You really want to hang your hat on that? And the labor participation rate continues to plummet. People are spending their remaining stimulus, relying on their spouses for jobs. In fact, a lot of millennials and Gen Zers are moving back in with their parents in record numbers. All right, I could go on, but let's get back to the interview.
I mean, it's been decades since the American consumer has had to deal with inflation like this.
Yes, and I hope that it will be short-lived. We learned a lot of lessons from the high inflation we experienced in the 1970s, and we're all aware that it's critically important that inflation be brought under control and not become endemic to our economy, and we're making sure that that won't happen.
Oh, hope and pray. That is their strategy right there. And come on. The Fed and Treasury have learned nothing from the 1970s. They're still clueless to the real nature of inflation, that businesses are not the boogeyman, that consumers are not to blame for the prices of things going up. Inflation is caused by currency creation. The late economist Milton Friedman once said that inflation is always and everywhere a monetary phenomenon.
After another year of stealthy, undetectable silver redistribution, this holiday season, I'm turning over a new leaf. And I'm going to get into that holiday spirit of generosity, and I'm going to give away some silver. And thanks to SD Bullion's holiday collection, I can give away silver that matches both the holiday season and my budget.
Hey, Sebastian. I'm getting into the holiday spirit a little early this year, and I got you something.
Steve, you shouldn't have.
Silver?
You know, I've actually been wanting to start investing in silver. Steve?
Well, there's always next year. The SD Bullion Holiday Collection. Get it before it's gone.
Printing currency creates inflation. Prices rise in response. Remember, prices go up and down, but only the monetary supply inflates and deflates.
First of all, shipping costs have come down, delivery lags, which were very long, those have shortened.
You know, when the government goes rogue and shuts down the entire economy in a sustained panic over a virus that has high risk for only a small subset of people, well, yeah, supply chains will crumble. And when you open the economy back up, supply chains will start to, chug it back into life. No duh, Janet.
Gas prices down.
Gas prices are way down.
And why is that, Ms. Yellen? Maybe it has something to do with the release of our highly prized strategic oil reserves. You know, the reserves of petroleum that we hold primarily for times of war. The stuff the Biden administration apparently exported to foreign governments to temporarily lower our trade deficit in order to make the GDP for Q3 look good. It wasn't so much that the economy really improved in Q3. It was basically an accounting trick. So, gas prices are down, but not diesel. And diesel runs our supply chain.
I think we'll see a substantial reduction in inflation in the year ahead.
It's going to take a year.
Well, I believe by the end of next year, you will see much lower inflation if there's not an unanticipated shock.
Did you catch the fancy move there by Janet Yellen? Here's the play. Exhibit a strong confidence in what you're saying to the interviewer. In this case, that substantial reduction in inflation is coming next year. And then, when there's some pushback, back off a bit by saying, oh, well, by the end of next year. And then use the old, if there's not an unanticipated shock, of course. Translation? We sure hope and pray things will get better at some point, but if we're wrong, which we are all the time, then we'll simply chalk it up to something completely unexpected. Never saw it coming. Total, legit black swan event.
But for families who are paying more at the grocery store, when 2023 comes around, do they need to be worried about a recession?
There are always risks of a recession. The economy remains prone to shocks.
Stop. Why is our economy so prone to shocks? Why just accept that statement at face value without even questioning its legitimacy? In your own personal life, how would you strengthen your finances to resist shocks? Would you spend more than you take in? Would you run up your credit cards? Would you gamble on highly speculative asset classes? Would you take out a HELOC, a home equity line of credit against your house and buy some sweet maroon 2023 Chevy Corvette Stingray? No. Although I'd really love that Stingray. No, you wouldn't. The fact is, we don't have a resilient economy based on productivity. We have a mirage of an economy. It's based on consumption and debt.
But look, we have a very healthy banking system.
So I worked at a bank for a while. When I joined as their VP of IT, the bank president brought me into his office, closed the door, had me sit down, got behind his desk, and very seriously said, Yankee? Yeah, you call me Yankee. We exist because people believe in us. In fact, all banks exist because people believe that they are solvent. They must have confidence in us, and we can't do anything to shake that confidence. Yeah, it's a confidence game or a con game. The FDIC insurance that supposedly insures everybody's deposits up to, 100,000, maybe it's 200,000 now, is woefully ill-equipped to bail out a systemic collapse with multiple bank failures. The Federal Reserve would have to monetize all the debt, buy up all the toxic assets, and it would be a complete disaster. The bank stress tests that they conduct are a sham. They are created to ensure a passing grade to all but the most insolvent banking institutions. Even those tend to slide by too. They never test for the scenario that I think we're facing, an inflationary depression.
You have said this. You do not believe there will be a recession next year.
There's a risk of recession, but it certainly isn't, in my view, something that is necessary to bring inflation down.
Newsflash, Janet. We're already in a recession. But of course, she has to keep the appearances up and talk positively in front of the camera in order not to cause a panic. The reality is that the layoffs we've seen in places like Amazon and DoorDash, Meta, Jeep, Paramount, Pepsi, they're all just the beginning. Earnings are down. They're going to go way down in 2023. And without the accommodative Fed, you're going to see more and more layoffs, and you're going to actually start to see bankruptcies.
When I talk to business leaders, they say, we're preparing for a recession. So some have said to me, ask the Treasury Secretary, what does she know that we don't know?
Well, economic growth is slowing substantially, and businesses see that. Look, we had a very rapid recovery from the pandemic. We got people back to work. We closed that gap. We have a healthy labor market.
She didn't answer the question. And then she goes right back to the labor market being so wonderful. Over the next few minutes, she just goes all Rambo on Putin and Russia so she can deflect blame away from those really responsible. There's also a lot of woke banter and praise for her being the very first woman Treasury head. Fine. Okay, it gets a little nauseating, so I'm going to spare you any more of the interview. Let me bottom line it for you. Inflation is here to stay. We're already in a recession. It's going to get worse. In fact, I think we're headed into an inflationary depression and the loss of the dollar's reserve currency status in the world. And all the while, you're going to hear these hypocritical government mouthpieces traveling from media outlet to media outlet spouting their ridiculous propaganda. They ignore basic economic laws. They completely disregard the wisdom of Austrian economics. Don't listen to these people when they move their lips. It's garbage. Stack silver and gold like you really mean it. I'm going to leave you with this final back and forth with the interviewer and Janet Yellen. It just galled me.
You know, our currency is really about our values and our sense of ourselves as a nation. And they signify a sound economy, a strong financial system.
I don't even know how to respond to that. Well, anyways, thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Even share this with others. And as always, I hope your day is A-OK.